that he did receive, and one of them was Barack Obama. And I was reading Barack Obama's reaction to the Arch's passing, and he said that Archbishop Desmond Tutu was a mentor, a friend, and a moral compass for him and so many others. A universal spirit. Archbishop Tutu was grounded in the struggle for liberation and justice in his own country, but also very much concerned about injustices everywhere. An intimate event in honor of the late Archbishop held in Cape Town last night as well. And you heard that same sentiment from dignitaries such as Reverend Alan Busak, among many others. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
The new McFeast chili cheese from McDonald's ignites love for every moment we share. Make a feast of it.
Women of South Africa daily face danger to their very lives.
Not much has changed for the majority of women. The most glaring inequality has to be the lack of respect with which women are treated, and rape statistics in South Africa bear witness to this.
The physical and psychological effect rarely disappear. One moment of violence can have permanent consequence on the life of women.
I just didn't think this is happening to me. Is it really happening? My mind just stopped and I blamed myself.
Yeah, it's very hot. Like, I also just have my tongue out all the time because it's hot.
Now, I've tasted sushi in different parts of the world, but I've never made one of my own.
How do you feel? I feel great. I feel like an Indian prince.
This needs a redo. Give me more. More color. More festive. More drama, darling.
It's travel outlook.
Because more is more.
There are a number of activities at the Tutu family home as preparations for the funeral tomorrow gains momentum. South Africans are also continuing to pay their tributes and their respect to the late Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu. I want to take you now to Milnerton in Cape Town. It's where we find my colleague Atule Joka. He's standing by. Atule, very good morning to you. What are you witnessing there at the family home?
Well, Blaine, we are outside the house of the Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, the last man to be the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize for his role in the resistance and fight against the apartheid government. He has been lauded around across the world for his role that he played, and also how he advocated for peace in making sure that people come together and unify instead of using a barrel of the gun or using weapons to try, or using a violent means to try and sort out those issues. So it's been loaded throughout the week, and the preparations are going well. Tomorrow, it's his final day of resting in eternity. It will be conducted at the St. George's Cathedral, the church that he led for 10 years. What I see behind me, Blaine, I think these are family members who are coming back from St. George's Cathedral. They are coming back to the home here today. I just wanted you to see them for the last time. I understand this was the last time also that they got to see the Arch, as we know that as per his request, as per also his consultation with the church members, he said that he wanted his body to be at church overnight before the day of before the day of his funeral. But I'll also ask my colleague to pen to your right, Blaine, just to show you some of the preparations that are happening here. As you would remember that throughout the week we have been here. We were here since the start of putting together this tent, putting together this marquee, the construction of this marquee. We're here at the beginning of it. As you can see, it looks like now it is complete. It is ready. It is all systems go. People will be here, will be seated here. I believe it will be catering for dignitaries, of course, after their funeral. So the guys from the logistics side have done their parts. The flooring is done. It is looking pristine. It is looking sprint and clean. It is looking quite organized, Blaine. I want us to talk about the man and how he has been remembered, Blaine, for his role that he played during the apartheid struggle. He played his role through church. I remember, as we were saying throughout the week, that he was a teacher, but he decided to go into priesthood because he felt that his voice would be heard more during priesthood. That's where he studied theology and kept furthering his studies in theology overseas, coming back to South Africa to holding higher positions that gave him the voice to fight against the apartheid struggle. We would remember that in 1975, that is when he was elected as the Dean of Johannesburg, the first position for a black leader. In 1976, again, he got another post as the first Archbishop of Johannesburg, again in the Cathedral of St. Mary's there at that side as well. He was also a man of true manifest. I was saying to my colleague Blaine that it's quite ironic that he will also be laid to rest on the first day, on the first year that we are going to next year. So the Arch was a man of manifest, and his life has come full circle. He waited until his birthday on the 7th of October to turn 90 years fully. He also waited for the birthday of Jesus Christ on the 25th before he could pass away on the 26th. So we've been speaking to people throughout Blaine, and they told us how they remember the man. And this is one thing that I was saying, it was also quite interesting, was that as much as South Africa is vast, as much as we were speaking to different people of different races, color and creed, all of them had personal stories, all of them had personal relations with the Arch, saying he advocated for peace. He was a man who had so much love within him, quite small in stature, but he fought for equality, he fought for justice with all that he had, and also getting those anecdotes from them as well, saying he was a man who was full of jokes as well. He was also quite quoted as a disciplinarian. I had a chat with another lady when we were at the cathedral yesterday, saying, I was in the Eastern Cape working in one of the parishes there. The Arch would drive by himself when he was an archbishop to the Eastern Cape to come and sit with us and talk to us directly and look at you in the eye and try and teach you and try and instruct you how things should be done. So that spirit of teaching with him never left him. He also did that throughout the priesthood, as we heard that some of the members who are in the top brass of the priesthood saying, of course, that he pushed them to excel. He always advocated for them to take on education and take on academics. That is why he fought, he felt that was a bigger tool to be able to fight for social justice. That is why he was very pivotal in the transition into the democracy. He was there as well before Tata Nelson Mandela appointed him as the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That is where he played a role to try and bring about justice, to try and bring closure for those families. We know the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was set up in three categories: the one for amnesty, the other for rehabilitation, and the next one to ensure that the members get their closure. But people had differing views at their play. Say one was for human rights violation, one was for human rehabilitation, and the other one was for amnesty. They were saying some of the aspects they were not dealt with accordingly. They were saying maybe amnesty was dealt with, but things such as rehabilitation for the members, and also to get their closure and the compensation, something that was not done, and also the prosecution of those human rights violations. But we had a chat with the commissioner in the Western Cape of Human Rights saying the Arch filed a report and sent it to government. So he was challenging the government, saying, in honor of the Archbishop, government must look at that document, must look at that report to try and implement some of those recommendations that were in that report. So Blaine, tomorrow will be laying to rest the man who was a man of many faces, the man who lived his life fully and challenged us in all aspects of our lives, and made sure that he leaves that legacy of people to try and push themselves beyond the boundaries instead of just in the realm where they are operating. So we'll have these discussions, as the Arch was someone who did not try to hide things under the carpet. He always confronted any injustice. He always wanted these dialogues or these conversations. So it is not surprising that they are coming out as we are trying to speak to the people, to speak of his legacy of peace, Blaine.
Yeah, and that, you mentioned that great sense of humor. He was so animated, and I would say he had a great impact on popular culture as well. Talk to us, Atule, with regards to the process tomorrow following the funeral. I understand that he will be cremated and his ashes interred at the St. George's Cathedral. Are you hearing anything different at this stage?
At this stage, because when we spoke to the Dean of St. George's Cathedral, he told us most of the decisions that are undertaken now were the wishes of the Arch. So they are implementing with the consultations that they had with the Arch. So I doubt very much would change, because he was saying during Tata Mandela's frailty, he had a conversation with the Arch to say, Arch, how would you love your burial and your final send-off to be? He hesitantly asked this question, he said to us. And then the Arch said he will come back to him. He went to consult with Mama Leah. And then when he came back, and then the Dean says he also offered him an option of Geoffrey Clayton, one of the archbishops who served in the Anglican Church, in the St. George's Cathedral Church for so many years, who was against inequality, who was against those Group Areas Acts and the racial segregation policies that were implemented at the time. So the Arch said the option that was taken by Archbishop Geoffrey Clayton of having his ashes cremated and then interred inside the church, he would go with that option. So I doubt they will change that decision, that resolution, and the consultations that they had with the Arch. So we understand that the state funeral category 1, official funeral category 1 will be proceeding from 10 a.m., of course, with the church elements. And then afterwards, the church told us that they will then hand over the body of the Arch to the family, and then it will be a private service conducted by the family. And then the family, when they come back from the crematorium, they will do all the necessary proceedings and then hand over the ashes to the church, to the cathedral. And then the cathedral will inter the ashes just behind the altar, where also Archbishop Geoffrey Clayton has laid there on the floor as well there. So that's where the ashes of the Arch will be kept. We understand tonight the body of the Arch will also be there as per his wishes that he wished for. Yes, Blaine.
Perhaps the biggest question during this time of reflection is, how far are we from realizing the ideals of Tutu's Rainbow Nation? You have been in conversation with many people over the past couple of days, waiting in line to pay their respects to the Arch. What have they been telling you?
Well, as you understand, Ben, that the people we spoke to come from different race, class, gender, creed, and ages. There were young people, there were old people, there were people coming from all different races, there were even people coming from abroad. What they said was that they need to take the lessons from the Arch. They need to take the baton and move it forward. They said the Arch advocated for a just in a democratic society that lives in diversity, that lives peacefully. So they are saying that these are the elements that we can take from the life that spanned over 9 decades. He spent his time with his long life partner, Umamuleya, for 65 years. He had 4 children, was a family man. So those are some of the values that he not only had in public, but also even inside his family structure. He always advocated for love, always advocated for peace, and also not the one to mince his word when he wanted to advocate for justice, when he wanted to advocate for equality, and making sure that those who are vulnerable, those who are destitute, we do not turn a blind eye to them. You remember yesterday when we spoke to the lady who was advocating for a free Palestine, saying in the time of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, he's one of those who was vocal, because in this day and age you have leaders who do not stand up for a cause unless it will benefit them. But wherever there was an injustice that was done to people, he always stood up and he was always vocal. So they were saying these are the lessons that we can learn so that we can live in harmony, so we can live together. We must be able to confront any injustice. We must be able to confront any attack or abuse or any human rights violation of those who are vulnerable, of those who are destitute. So many lessons that we have learned from the life of this man. You remember when Archbishop Makgoba said he also embraced interfaith religions. So you know, most people, when they believe in certain religion, they will discard other religions. So this is the man who also embraced everyone. So these are the lessons that people are saying from different walks of life, from different class and creeds, are saying about the Archbishop. So many lessons that we can learn here, Blaine.
The world is trying to process the loss. No doubt his family is experiencing a profound sense of loss, profound sense of melancholy. Any insight into how Mamaleya is doing, his wife of over 6 decades, and the family in general? You're outside the family home. I wonder if they're in there. Any sense of how they're processing all of this?
You might understand, Blaine, for someone who has spent 65 years with the person, and for someone who was with the Arch on his last day. Mamaleya, we just saw her inside. She was pushing her trolley off wheels. Most people would say in the time of grief, most people would not be able to determine the deepness or the impact that it will have, because you still have people around. There were still bouquet of flower incarnations inside there. So maybe right now she might not feel the loss up until maybe the people are gone, because we also spoke to the doctor or Reverend Unontombi Naomi Tutu, who was saying my mother is well, my mother is strong, maybe it has not sunk in yet. So this is what most people are saying. Even a family friend and Minister of Public Works, Mama Patricia Dele, was also saying the same thing, saying we are always with Mamaleya. She is busy telling us, trying to recall all the stories of Desmond Tutu, all the memories that they had together. So for her, she still has people around. She is sharing those stories of the life that they live over the 6 decades. And also we can imagine it must be some of those humorous stories, some of those inspirational stories, some of those stories that they had to intervene in the time when peace was needed in the country. So this is someone, most leaders that we spoke to, especially in the priesthood, were saying we cannot speak about Desmond Tutu alone and not speak about the role that Mama Ulia had behind her. As the saying goes, behind every successful man there is a woman. So Mama Tutu was always right there by her side. He was always the strong person next to the Archbishop. They are outside now, sitting there outside. We saw her pushing the trolley off wheels with her daughter-in-laws and her daughters, and also some of the family members who have just come back now. We understand that there will be some high-profile members who will be coming, possibly others from abroad, hoping they will come in early so that we can catch them. We do not know the times as yet, but he is someone who is holding on. But we will see as the time goes, Blaine. We do not want to preempt many things, as you understand how dynamics usually play in people who have spent so much time together, Blaine.
Such great reporting, Atule. What you're doing is you're really pulling back the curtain and giving us some great insight into the man that was Desmond Tutu, Atule Joka, as well as Arif Khan. Live for us there. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate the reporting. An intimate event in honor of the late Archbishop was held in Cape Town last night, and among the dignitaries